What up, everybody? How all is doing? Hope all is well. And if not, I hope you get back on track sooner or later. So you can act your thing. You know what I mean? John was star. Yeah, man. Going through these YouTube streets, right? Going through these YouTube streets, and these videos pop up on my feed. Don't eat meat in these 10 restaurants. Here's why. You know how I feel about meat and meat everywhere and all of that. And I do question meat, right? 7 days a week, every day, all year long, 365. The supermarkets are filled, where their shelves or their freezers are filled. The corner stores, the restaurants, the fast food joints, everybody fills stock of meat every day of the year. How come they got so much meat? Where's it all coming from? You're telling me it's all livestock? All these different small farms throughout the nation? I don't know, I question things, and then we hold the vibe, right? And that's why it's called the Hold of the Vibe podcast. So this video I see right here, don't eat meat in these 10 restaurants. John was star. Know what I mean? Alright, let's go.
Still trust a familiar name. What's happening behind the kitchen door at Fridays is enough to make you reconsider that next visit. Even though there was a time when stepping into a TGI Fridays meant the
TGI Friday? Them joints?
fun of birthdays, beers after work, the smell of grilled meat drifting through a buzzing dining room. In the past, it was America's casual celebration corner, but behind the friendly smiles and colorful drinks, something's been rotting. In 2018, a major investigation peeled back the layers. It wasn't just one bad location, but a whole system failed the trust of its even most loyal customers. At multiple Fridays restaurants, raw meat was found sitting out in room temperature prep trays for far too long, sometimes in excess of an hour. Federal food safety
Isn't this fast food joint? But they're not fast food as in McDonald's or Burger King and all of that. They're more like a sit in a dining restaurant, right? Where you sit down and eat. And I said, oh my God, and stuff.
laws require meat to be kept below 40 degrees, when it's not. Bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli begin to grow. But in there, inspectors found meat stored above safe temperatures in over 30% of surprise visits. One reported raw
You know the pork and the beef and all of that? When they sit out too long, those things starting to grow, right? That's crazy because some of these things, the heat don't ever bother them. So they cook these food. And remember, most of the beefs and all of that, people don't cook it well done all the way. So imagine, the meat's not stored properly temperature-wise. These little animals starting to cook. You come and sit down with your family, you order your thing. You order rare, medium rare. Them little animals are in the middle of that joint. Yo, I'm just saying though.
chicken stacked underneath pork ribs, juices leaking into each other like a toxic stew. Even worse,
Look on that.
workers spoke out about rushed training and chaotic kitchen routines. One former cook confessed he learned meat handling
I ain't gonna front. When I was in my teens, I worked in restaurants. You know what I'm saying? So I know. Let's go.
by shadowing another employee for just a few hours, then was left on his own to feed families. No certifications, no standards, just guesswork. That's not fast food. That's a fast track to illness. Fridays have also blurred the line between fresh and frozen. Many customers believed their burger or steak was grilled that day, but former staff revealed a disturbing pattern. Frozen meats thawed in sinks, sometimes refrozen, then tossed on a grill hours or even days later. Some burgers were pre-cooked during slow shifts, stored, then reheated during rush hours. If your Friday's burger tastes like it came from last week's cookout, it probably did. The taste is even more horrible. Blind taste tests found Friday's burgers ranking dead last among national chains, described as dry, bland.
TGI Fridays was popping back in the day too. I don't know. I don't know how much because I don't. I'm in my 40s now, so I don't indulge much in these fast food chains and these restaurants with food and all of that. So they're still probably still open. But I got memories. I used to go to them, man.
And rubbery. Not exactly the juicy American classic we were promised. On F for a chain that once prided itself on bold flavors and celebration. Today's Fridays feel hollow. Sizzling plates and flashy desserts can't cover up the uneasy truth. If they cut corners on meat safety, what else are they risking if you've ever left feeling queasy or wondered why that steak didn't sit right? Maybe the problem wasn't your stomach. Maybe it was the system that served it. Number 3, Burger King. Have you ever taken a bite of a burger and realized it tasted
A home of the Whopper, son? You know that's my joint, right? I know.
different from your memory?
I don't eat it no more, though. I heard certain things. I don't know. I'm just saying, eliminate.
Not just a bit stale, but something chemical. Like a promise broken on a sesame seed bun. That's the kind of bite many Americans don't expect when they walk into Burger King. For decades, this chain was the louder, bolder sibling of McDonald's. Have it your way, they said, and we believed them. Bigger burgers, a smoky flavor that hinted at backyard grills, and ads that made every Whopper look like...
Let me find out that flavor is a chemical induced. Some chemical they put on it to make it, you know? I know.
a feast fit for a king.
Yo, you know they have a smoky flavored sauce, right? Like a barbecue sauce with a smoky flavor to it. They got a smoky flavored sauce itself. I know.
But what if that grill-marked dream was built on illusions back in 2012? British regulators shocked the world when they discovered that some Burger King patties contained horse meat. 2 years later, in Japan, customers opened their sandwiches only to find mold creeping across the buns, with thick veins of green and white like something from a horror movie. In 2022, inspections in Florida, Texas, and Ohio uncovered meat left out for hours, warm, wet, and crawling with risk. And it gets worse. Behind the flames of those flame-grilled burgers is a truth many employees confirmed. They're flash-heated frozen patties sprayed with artificial smoke. Fryer oil often turns nearly black from overuse, with food particles from the morning floating in the evening's batch. The Whopper buns left sitting for hours before being thrown back on the line. The tomatoes are often not fresh, just thawed from frozen, gray at the edges, soft in the middle. The ads still show perfect sandwiches, with golden buns, crisp lettuce, thick tomato slices. But TikTok tells a different story.
You know they're selling images when they do commercials. But the commercials do work, though, I gotta lie, right?
Crushed burgers, soggy wrappers, limp toppings. Over 5 million Americans eat at Burger King each day. That includes night shift workers, single parents, and retirees who just want a warm, simple dinner.
You know, people that's busy surviving. The regular folk, you know what I'm saying?
But that quick meal can turn dangerous. Some meat may have been under a heat lamp for 8 hours. Some lettuce is already browning. And for a child or elder with a fragile immune system, just one of those mishandled burgers can lead to hospital-level food poisoning. Burger King sold us boldness. But that crown on the logo doesn't come with real food safety. Millions chose it because it was quick and cheap. But cheap shouldn't mean Russian roulette with your dinner. Keep going with us. Because the next brand has mastered a different trick that fooled us for many years. Number 4, Applebee's. It's the neighborhood grill that...
I went to Applebee's one time, right? And they had such bad service, I vowed not to go back to them again. So, I even thought, who would have thought? They're still in business? I'm just saying, man.
promises comfort.
I haven't been back to them since. But I don't eat this stuff anyway, so now we'll never go back to them. And I guess never for that one.
Value, and a warm booth to end your day. For years, Applebee's won over America with its famous 2 for $20 deals, colorful cocktail menus, and late-night half-price appetizers. But behind those glowing menu photos hides a meat handling crisis that should make any health-conscious diner stop and think.
Let's jump ahead, y'all.
At first glance, Chili's feels like a slice of comfort, soft
That's
lighting,
my joint.
warm.
Chili's was my joint. You know they got them sliders joints, the 4 sliders to serve at a time. I ain't been there in years though, but that used to be my joint.
At first glance, Chili's feels like a slice of comfort, soft lighting, warm booths, and the promise of sizzling baby back ribs just like you remember from the early
I want my
2000s.
baby back,
But
baby
behind
back,
that
baby back.
comforting glow is a troubling truth that's
I want my
quietly
baby back.
unraveling in kitchens across America. And if you're over 60, your immune system may not forgive a slip-up that younger folks bounce back from. Over the past few years, health inspections in states like Texas, Arizona, and Florida have uncovered a pattern, one that reveals something deeply unsettling. Former employees paint a picture of chaos behind the kitchen doors, meat shipments left outside in the heat, sometimes for hours.
Yeah, let's skip.
Novel. For older Americans, it's often been the go-to spot for birthdays, retirements, or just a long overdue
what'd he
family
say?
dinner. But beneath
Let's back up.
2-for-1 appetizers can justify the risk. You've worked too hard to gamble your health on a microwaved ribeye. Novel. For older Americans,
Oh, I
it's
got
often
back up. Sorry about that, y'all. This would be in the edits. The Cheesecake Factory? The Cheesecake Factory? You know I haven't been there yet. We got one in town. I still ain't been there.
the Cheesecake Factory. At first glance, the Cheesecake Factory feels like a safe splurge, golden lighting, towering cheesecakes, and a menu so thick it reads like a novel. For older Americans, it's often been the go-to spot for birthdays, retirements, or just a long overdue family dinner. But beneath the polished booths and marble counters lies a kitchen culture that many former employees say should make us all think twice before digging in. A former kitchen manager from California painted a troubling picture. Behind those swinging kitchen doors, the sheer volume of meat is so overwhelming that inventory becomes a guessing game, with different color-coded labels, handwritten notes, and a frantic pace. Meats like chicken, pork, and even raw seafood end up jumbled in the same coolers. There were cases of raw chicken leaking above fresh produce, of ground beef thawing next to cooked steak, an open invitation to cross-contamination. Staff, rushed and under pressure, often focused more on how a dish looked than whether it was safe. Buttering up overcooked chicken or brushing color onto underdone steak became standard practice.
But I'm saying, right, these restaurants be popping. Busy as hell. So if they're busy, understaffed, can you imagine them? They're running around, like I said, when I was younger, I worked in a restaurant. So I know when rush hour gets down, the weekends, night shifts, busy, oh man.
One former line cook admitted they were trained to make it look
It's for young people, you know. But some of us gotta get in our older age, gotta get up in the jobs too and work them joints, man. It's crazy. You know?
perfect, even if that meant ignoring freshness or done.
When I did a lot of work. My bad for pausing so much, but I did a lot of different jobs in my life. And I worked in restaurants, man. A couple joints too.
And when meat is pre-cooked in bulk and reheated under pressure, food ends up looking warm on the outside but dangerously cold in the center. That's not just a mistake, it's a hazard. In a 3-year window, more than 40% of Cheesecake Factory locations were flagged for meat safety violations. Some failed to maintain proper cooling. Others were cited for keeping meat in warming trays that didn't meet USDA temperature standards. Nearly 1/3 of meat tested at a single location failed to reach safe internal temperatures. For a chain that sells entrees pushing $30, that kind of negligence hits hard. Even their popular burgers aren't safe from criticism. Critics have called them inconsistent juicy one visit, dry and bland the next. Behind that variation lies a truth many don't know. Most of their beef arrives frozen from mass distributors,
They're not
then
consistent.
relabeled as fresh in-store. That fresh ground burger you're biting into. It may have been thawed in a trailer halfway across the country. Worse still, when something does go wrong, a recall, a bad shipment, a foodborne illness report, most customers hear nothing. There are no public. No amount of whipped cream can cover that up. Number 7, Wendy's. No amount of whipped cream can cover that up. Number 7, Wendy's. There was a time when Wendy's felt like the better choice, a square burger on
Remember Wendy's, dog? Oh man.
a toasted bun. Crisp
That's one of the big four, right? McDonald's, Burger King. Shit, remember there used to be Roy Rogers? Wendy's is here. But Roy Rogers not around no more. At least not around here. But they got the Chick-fil-A joint. Chipotle now.
romaine in a chilled bowl, and that proud little promise printed on every cup fresh. Never frozen. For millions of Americans, especially older adults trying to steer clear of greasy options. That line meant everything. It meant trust, it meant safety. But in the past few years, something has started to rot, and it's not just the lettuce. In 2022, that promise collapsed in horrifying fashion. Over 100 people across Michigan and Ohio fell ill from an E. coli outbreak, traced back to Wendy's romaine lettuce. At least 43 were hospitalized, some with life-altering complications. The CDC identified the cause, but Wendy's remained silent for far too long. There was no formal recall, no public apology, just a quiet pulling of the lettuce from some stores. As if trust could be erased like that. But the cracks had formed years before. Health inspections in Georgia as early as 2020 revealed dangerous lapses dairy stored at unsafe temperatures, meat left out too long, and a lack of internal temperature checks on high-risk items. These are not small errors. They are the difference between a quick lunch and a hospital stay, behind the scenes. The reality only gets worse.
Do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this, y'all? You know, as you get older, you can't really eat these things, but when you're younger, you know what I'm saying, you can still stand it, you can eat these things, and your body still function properly. But as you get older, you kind of got to eliminate such a diet anyway, because your health is your wealth. You know what I mean? And who knows how they feel better than you? And how you feel is really up to you, because what you consume is all part of your diet. You know what I'm saying? So, I know, man, there's a couple more restaurants and go through, but I'm going to stop it right here. And I'm just saying, though, it's crazy, yo. There's rules, there's laws, there's standards, but not everybody going to practice them joints. You know? And if you notice, nobody want to work nowadays, so what? Restaurants, they're understaffed. And then, man, and when it gets busy, it's go time, it's go time, it's go time. You know what I'm saying? Are they following the proper procedures? You know? So I can imagine this video, want to point out a few things. And I was interested in too, but I didn't see it before. This is my first time watching it. So I was like, I might as well watch it with y'all. And, you know what I mean? See what they say. But I'm 44, so you know, as it goes, your health is in your hands. It's in our hands. We have to take care of ourselves. Yes, we have the health insurance, the doctors and all of that. They mean well, but at the same time, health is a business. You know? And what do a business need to run? Y'all can answer that for yourselves at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So everything is up to you. That's the way I see it. You know what I mean? So Johnny with Star. Appreciate the views. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscription button. Drop a comment if you're vibing. Like and share. Like and share. Big up y'all. And I will catch y'all on the next vibration. CLP. We out of here. This has been Vibe, React, Review. React, Vibe, Review. All of that. Johnny with Star. It's all love. CLP. We out.